I don't got no friends. I don't got no friends. You know what I mean? I got supporters, people on my side, and people on the other side.
Welcome to the shift where the whole room glows. EMG vibes got the city on go. Stand on what you know, every mind gon' grow. Tissue flat, I'm with you, let the whole world know. Paradigm light, yeah, we shine just right. Respect your view, even if we don't align right. We can disagree and still keep the love tight. EMG family, we elevate the mind right. This that channel that be talking back, energy attack. Iron sharp as iron, watch the whole league react. Competition in the building, better tighten up your facts. We ain't clones, but we still mirror how you crack under impact. Every debate will work hot, spot a week, rap fast. You live wrong, paradigm shift, and break your stance. I'm the judge, the jury, the pen, the contrast. My bars hit always like a quadruple, bottom to the shift, where the whole room glow. EMG vibes got the city on go. Stand on what you know, every mind gon' grow. If you black, I'm with you, let the whole world know. Paradigm light, yeah, we shine just right. Respect your view, even if we don't all align right. We can disagree and still keep the love tight. EMG family, we elevate the mind right. We invite every mind, long as you stand on yours. Walking with respect, leave with open doors. Channel stay lit, views jumping off the boards. STL bounce, yeah, the spot from the source. Competitors, welcome, step up, don't fold. We don't fear pressure, we refine under load. Thoughts heavy, we press them till the truth gets told. Shift so clean, it feel platinum even when it's gold. Come through correct, bring your logic and your proof. Speak your truth, just don't run from the truth. We debate with grace, that's the paradigm groove. Flow so smooth, even turbulence move. Welcome to the shift where the whole room go. EMG vibes got the city on go. Stand on what you know, every mind gon' grow. If you black, I'm with you, let the whole world know. Paradigm light, yeah, we shine just right. Respect your view, even if we don't align right. We can disagree and still keep the love tight. EMG family, we elevate the mind right. Where the whole glow. DMG vibes got the city on go. Stand on what you know, every mind gon' go. If you black, I'm with you, let the whole world know. Paradigm light, yeah, we shine just right. Respect your view, even if we don't align right. We can disagree and still keep the love tight. DMG family, we elevate the mind right. Welcome to the shift. DMG vibes got the city on go. Welcome to the shift. Stand on what you know, every mind gon' grow. Welcome to the shift. If you black, I'm with you, black, I'm with you. Welcome to the shift. We can disagree and still keep the love tight. Welcome to the shift. EMG family, we elevate the mind right. Welcome to the shift. EMG vibe got the city on low. Walk with paradigm shift, keep it real for.
Y'all know I say that greeting for one reason and one reason only. It's because if you black, I'm with you. And I hope that you with me.
Good day, good day. I'm bringing Brother Tahuti Afar on for a part 2 of slavery in ancient Kemet. So Tahuti, when you're ready, you could go in. If you need me to share the screen, I'll do it for you, right?
Yeah, definitely. So I just want to start off by saying that there's definitely evidence that shows that there were paid workers. Not only that there were paid and compensated workers, that the workers who were unhappy with the actual pay, there's evidence that they went on a strike and got awarded an upgrade in their compensation. So along with that, you have, so I want to also add that on top of the attestations by master pyramid builders and elites during the Sixth Dynasty, saying that they didn't put force or use force on any of their workers or subordinates. So in addition to that, you have the principle of Ma'at. And yes, among Egyptologists in translating the Meta Neter, there is I want to say a controversy or a disagreement. And that's obviously the standing, how do I want to say, that is the standing energy between Egyptologists and Africana studies, is the translations are often intentionally mistranslated or substituted with Arab and English correspondence. So, or European, not English, not necessarily just English, but European correspondence. So I want to point that out. And even though, there's a disagreement between the translation, I want to point out that the person, or the scholar, I should say, of Africana studies who translates a particular negative declaration as "I have not extorted" is still correct, because Egyptologists agree that "I have not extorted" is indeed in the negative confessions. The scholar named Malana Karinga is a PhD in ethics. He has a PhD in ethics. So that means his opinion on the matter of Ma'at and the behavioral conditions in Kemet becomes valuable from Malana Karinga. So I just wanted to say that. And we can just open up the floor for questions if you want. I think it's fair to just play the presentation until people arrive and come up. And then if you have any questions, you can ask them, Jose.
They have about 11 people in the chat already, so they can just pose their questions.
Yeah, definitely.
I don't know if you want to open up the you want to open up the chat yet?
You can open up the chat. And I just wanted you to play the presentation, or you can be part of the presentation, just so people get the idea of where I'm getting this information from, and how then the methodology that I'm putting it together.
I got you. So I'm gonna share my screen, and I could drop the link at the same time.
Definitely.
So if they want to come in, they could come. You can share it as a presentation, and I'm gonna drop the link at the same time. So the link is in the chat. The link is in the chat, so you guys can come in. If you want to come in while the presentation is playing. In the meantime, we're gonna let the presentation play. If and when anyone comes in, we do have a Takeover Tuesday coming in later. So I'll be on again not too long from now.
It is very important to eliminate this from any teaching that is meant to empower Black people. I want to first point out that the source of the foolishness that says that there was slavery in Kemet comes directly from the biblical narrative, and it is amplified in modern times from the Ten Commandments movie that was made in 1956. As you can see, that movie that was made all the way back in 1956 is the greatest story Hollywood ever told. And it became the greatest story that Hollywood ever sold. The myth is on the left and the reality is on the right. I want us to keep this in mind as we move forward during this presentation. I want to also let it be known that in real world history, there is no evidence that Kemet enslaved any Hebrews or Israelites. I will leave this here momentarily so that you can read over it. Specifically, there are no Kemetic records that make any mention of any migration, and no record of any departure. I want to also let it be known that the driving force for the propaganda and the negative sentiment about Kemet and it having slavery, just like all the other nations in ancient times, is definitely the biblical canon, and Europeans continue to prop up the propaganda even in academics. If we start our analysis on the matter of slavery and Kemet, three main references from all references that you get from America, that they did have slavery. However, when you read through these, the scale of slavery is always uncertain, and the presence of slavery is always uncertain. A prime example of that is when you see slavery in Egypt, and then you read on and it only talks about criminals and captives. The scale of slavery is not certain. Again, going on a general.
I'm stopping this for 1 second simply to point out that we need to like, share, and subscribe to Paradigm Shift. And this is my page here, Jose Francis. So like, share, subscribe to that. And this is the link to that particular video and Brother Tahuti Afar's page. So like, share, and subscribe to his page, my page, and Paradigm Shift 314. So just a little plug for everybody's platform. So, like, share, subscribe to all three platforms. The link to mine and Tahuti's is in there. So, as well as World View Wars, right? So let it continue playing.
Web inquiry, we find that Google is also uncertain. And it reminds us that there is no evidence that any Hebrews or Jews or Israelites built the pyramids. So, to sum it up, Europeans or mainstream academia is uncertain on whether Kemet had slavery or not. So we're going to investigate all the evidence of labor that took place in Kemet. We're going to explore what the people of Kemet said about the labor class. And we're going to first highlight the Sixth Dynasty. The Sixth Dynasty is well known for attestation to non-violence, the fair treatment, and even the generosity towards the general public. We have these attestations by many of the rulers of nomes in Kemet. Governors and nomes in Kemet are known as Hatyas. I'm going to leave this here so you can read over it and copy it if you need to. I want to also point out Sinumut's inscription, his biographical inscription. He gives attestation to his upbringing. So we have bust and biographical inscriptions and attestations from the elites of Kemet talking about the treatment and their upbringing. I want to also point out master builder, a master pyramid builder of the Old Kingdom, known as Nekhbu. He has an attestation, and it reads, "Never did I beat any man so that he fell by my hand. Never did I enslave any people there." This is the attestation of a master pyramid builder from the Old Kingdom. Nekhbu and his oath is a vital piece of evidence to show that slavery did not exist in Kemet. And again, to point out the obvious, slaves do not get apologies, workers do. I want to also point out that there is various ways other than the bus to determine the conditions in Kemet. I'm going to leave this here momentarily and then I'm going to go over it. So on these records, we have 2 kemetic records on each side. In the center is a Roman record, and this is a comparison. On the left, we have record of strike. Workers went on strike in Kemet, and as a result of the strike, the conditions got better. On the right, we have highlights from
Link is in the chat, so if you want to come in, you can come in. Tutu, you want to say anything on this? Or are you just gonna let it play and hopefully somebody will come in? Because I sent the link to Hurt, but I'm not seeing.
Yeah, I want people to just pay attention. I want people to lock in. Because I know when people pose questions and pushback to slavery in Kemet or the absence of slavery in Kemet, they always want to nitpick on captives. They always want to nitpick on certain things that exist here in America that they wouldn't consider as slavery in Kemet. So, yeah, just go ahead and push it, and then we'll just keep it going.
I think that what we're doing. I think what we're doing here, Tahuti, is we're actually introducing them to content that they don't normally see on the channel. We are the ones that are bringing the kemetic content. So I think they have to get used to it first. So I'm going to let it continue to play. I'm going to step away for 2 minutes. So anytime you want to say something, just unmute yourself and talk. I'm just going to go away. I'm just going to make a quick store run right up the block for 2 minutes, right? So I'm going to let it play. If you want to say anything, just jump in, right?
I got you. The 42 negative confessions. I'm going to get into that a little bit later. And in the center, we have evidence of Roman conditions for the working class. What we are looking at now is a mural. This mural shows the labor class in Kemet. As you can see, they are unbound. They are actually working in unison, using tools. And here we are. This tomb that holds the mural goes back to 1450 BCE. This is yet another scholarly indication of the absence of slavery in Kemet. I also want to address the stele that is being misrepresented to show evidence of slavery in Kemet. If anybody was to look at this at first glance, they would say, yeah, that's definitely evidence of slavery in Kemet. But remember, the only things that indicate slavery in Kemet from the American academic or mainstream academic viewpoint is captives. So again, this is a stele of captives that is often misrepresented by those who want to claim that the Kemet had a slave market or a slave working class. This is untrue, simply for obvious reasons. Before I get into those reasons, I want you to take a close look at all the details that are in this mural. For starters, you can see that the subjects that are sitting down, that are obviously being detained and controlled, are unbound. They have no chains, no ropes binding them. They also have their royal attire still on them. So I say that to obviously remind you that
think this is a depiction of
evidence
slaves.
of slavery is evidence
Shame
of
on you.
slavery, and evidence of detainment and captivity is evidence of detainment and captivity. You should always separate the two. If you further want to investigate this, the relief itself is called the tomb relief of Nubian prisoners. It is not called the tomb relief of Nubian slaves. This relief is currently being held at the Civic Museum of Bologna. And once again, the subjects are unbound and still in their royal attire. And with this, we once again have indication that there is no evidence of slavery in Kemet. Just as a person who is detained and held in custody before a court case is not considered a slave, then so does the same thing go for a captive or a detainee in Kemet, especially if they are unbound and still in their royal attire. I want to focus on the most obvious.
Again, pay attention. Milana
indicator
Karenga
that Kemet
is
was
a
devoid
PhD
of slavery,
of social ethics.
is the sacred principle of Ma'at.
So despite the discrepancy
The
or
principle of
controversy
Ma'at in of itself
or disagreement about the translation, he still
is
gets it correct.
counterproductive to slavery. And I want to point certain things out. I want to highlight the book called Ma'at, the Moral Ideal that outlawed slavery. The book is actually called Ma'at, the Moral Ideal in Ancient Egypt. It is by Maulana Karenga. In this book, he correctly translates the 42 negative confessions, and he notes that in two different versions, you have the negative confession of I have not enslaved and I have not extorted within the 42 negative confessions. So while the mainstream and Egyptologists are quiet about this, Maulana Karenga has produced this scholarship for us to know that Kemet was devoid of slavery. And if you did not know, Maulana Karenga is a scholar of Africana studies. He is a pioneer. He is the founder of Kwanzaa. So, Dr. Maulana Karenga is very important in the matter of slavery in Kemet, being that it was absent. I will be closing out soon, but before I do, I will highlight some important artifacts that specifically give us evidence that there was no slavery in Kemet. Again, we have the attestation of Nechabu, the master pyramid builder. We have the autobiography of Winnie the Elder. Winnie the Elder was a elite of the 6th dynasty. I want to point out the autobiographical attestation from Senetmut's bust. And I want to point out the negative oath from multiple elites of the 6th dynasty. Before I close out, I also want to highlight Theobald Obanga's book called Ancient Egypt and Black Africa. In this book, he mentions the social relations in Kemet, as well as gender relations. He highlights the fair treatment of women and the equal rights and power of women. I'm mentioning this book because if slavery was present
and kemet, it would be mentioned in a book that summarizes the social lifestyle of the Kemeti youth. And you don't find that in this book. Instead, you find other fascinating things about gender equality, the labor class, and philosophy. And slavery and extortion is absent in Kemetic philosophy, is absent in the spiritual tradition. It is explicitly prohibited, as we just found out. Like, share, and subscribe. I will be closing out soon.
Drop the link in the chat again. If anybody wants to come in, they can come in.
Hey, Jose, can you put up what I put in the live chat?
Which? Oh, this one. Okay. 6th Dynasty Negative Oath. 2. Nekebu's Attestation. 3. Sinamut's Autobiographical Inscription. 5. Ethics of Ma'ar. 6. Compassion and Fair Labor Conditions. So if you guys want to come in, hit... Oh, shit, sorry. Hit the link if you guys want to come in. We still got plenty of time before the next live. You got about 2 hours, so if you want to go in on something else, we could do that too. So let me know what you want to do.
Yeah, it's all good. We can sit here. You can just, if you have any questions, even if you have questions on the translation of Henet and what's the other one? But if you have any questions, just you can ask as well. Definitely, yeah. Show my page. I want people to see what my page is, see what I'm all about, see all the information that I'm putting up. My last live stream was about Canaanite Carthage.
All right, so let's get into that a little bit since we have time.
Yeah, definitely, man. You can play that.
So I'm going into that. Definitely gonna go into that. So like, share, subscribe to the brothers page. Like, share, subscribe to my page, and like, share, and subscribe to Paradigm Shift. Links from mine and Tehuti's is in there. And of course, your own Paradigm Shift 314.
Today's live stream. Which was a major seaport in the Mediterranean Sea. The Carthaginians were the descendants of the Meshwesh civilization and the Canaanites who fled Assyrian expansion. So to start off, since we are reconstructing this history, we are going to go to American.
I'm stepping away for 2 minutes. So anytime you want to jump in, you can go ahead and jump in, right?
Definitely.
So I'm stepping away for 2 minutes. Anytime you want to jump in, go ahead and jump in. People, the link is in the chat. We got a couple of hours before our next live. So I'm going to let the brother rock out for a little bit. If you guys want to come in to talk about slavery in Kemet or this particular video or anything about Kemet, Wait for a couple of minutes and I'll be back and you can hit the link. So let's let the video play.
In academics to see what they have to say. One scholarly reference is UNESCO. This is an archaeological site. It is in the Gulf of Tunisia. And the chronology for Canaanite Carthage starts in the 8th century BC and ends in 146 BCE. And again, I want to reinforce that before we get into this misrepresentation by American academia, that the Canaanites, as well as the new civilization of Carthage, is a black civilization based on the Abrahamic point of view. The Canaanite Carthaginians are known as the quote unquote Hamites in the Table of Nations. From the Greek perspective, the Canaanites are the Phoenicians. And from the Roman perspective, the Canaanites are Punic. I want to take note of the book, the scholarly book called Phoenicians, Peoples of the Past, Phoenicians. This is by Glenn E. Marco. He documents that Carthage was in a strategic position, and he also documents that the Punic religion is related to the Canaanite and Kemetic spiritual system. I also want to reinforce the scholarship of Czech Antijoke and what he teaches about Carthage. In his book, The African Origin of Civilization, on page 65, he reinforces the racial identity of North Africans who are now known as Libyan. And we have to additionally deal with the anachronistic term known as Berber. But in this book, he reinforces that civilization does not start in North Africa. It starts from the south and expands into other places of Africa. In his Civilization or Barbarism book on page 126, he reinforces that the conflict between Rome and Carthage was ethnically distinct. So again, he is reinforcing the blackness of Canaanite Carthage. We are also going to analyze, hit the like, share, and subscribe button about Canaanite Carthage. What we're looking at now is a vase, a Greek vase. You see a lot of these Greek vases with a depiction of a dark or black military figure. This is the Greek record of the Canaanites, and they retell the story using mythology. So mythologically, this is a Trojan, but within the mythology, they assigned a Punic identity to the figure and depicted as a black being. So they call it a Trojan, but they assign it a black identity. The Greek historian who has the most detailed documentation of Canaanite Carthage. In his book of history, he points out all the details. He talks about the Magog dynasty, and he also talks about the final moments of Canaanite Carthage. We also have other Greek historians who document Hanno the Navigator. We also have a mythological story that recounts the origins of the founding of Carthage. Although they renamed the characters, this is a mythological reconstruction of the Carthaginian history. We are going to highlight the founder of Canaanite Carthage. If you did not know, the founder of Canaanite Carthage was a princess from Tyre in Canaan. She is the founder of the new city, Carthage. Carthage is a new Canaanite city, hence the name Canaanite Carthage. To correctly pronounce Canaanite Carthage, it is Canaanite Carthage. Based on American academics, the founder of Carthage is depicted as a beige pale female. They often refer to her as Alyssa. They pronounce Dido, the name as Dido, but it should be Dido. And while they misrepresent the founder of Carthage, they do admit that she is indeed a princess, a Canaanite princess who became the first queen. Now, to correctly reconstruct the image of Dido, we are going to look at contemporary figurines. What we're looking at now is a
Pay attention.
figurine from the
because
7th century BCE.
This is
This is contemporary
a
with
discipline
the time
in
of
historical study. It's
Dido's
called the fine
founding
arts or the visual
of
arts.
Carthage.
So other than knowing the language, there is a discipline
So with
called
that in
visual
mind,
arts to reconstruct history.
We start our analysis with this figurine. And because it is a tribute figurine, and most figurines would be created in the image of the standing elite during the time, or contributed to a standing elite during the time of the action, we can identify this figurine with Queen Dido. Not only is her attributes Kemetic, but because they're Kemetic, and we know that Canaan had Kemetic influence as well, this Kemetic influence now becomes the framework to rebuilding the identity in Carthage. And with this
I hope
reconstruction
everyone gets
of
that. It's very simple.
the 7th
It might not be simple
century
starting off,
BCE
but
figurine, we come up with
it's very logical
what we are.
to correctly identify
Mhm.
artifacts, especially
I started the
tribute figures, tribute figurines, tribute statues,
Hold on.
and
Hold on
knowing
a
that
second. Hold on a second. I see my brother GD and Capone is in the building. Let me drop the link because he is a Hebrew Israelite. He might have something to say to liven up the conversation. So there's the link. If you want to come in, GDN, you're more than welcome to come in to refute or agree with what the brother's saying. Now, you also have to let them know that Hannibal was from Carthage, correct? Is that correct, Tahuti?
Yeah, that's correct. I get into that towards the end because Carthage was the last black
I thought I
general.
was jumping the gun.
Yeah.
I thought I was jumping the gun a little bit.
Right
So I
now
said,
I'm
let me.
on the founder of Carthage, Canaanite Carthage.
All right. So GD and Capone, hit the link, my brother. I want you to come in and live up this conversation. 'Cause I know when you hear Canaanite, you want to jump in and talk about it. So, and you see what she looks like. She looks like Nefertiti, Nefertari. She definitely is no doubt that she is a indigenous African, let's say, to avoid the controversial term black, since people think it wasn't used. But she looks like a typical sister that you would see walking down the street in the hood. GDM Capone, I want you to come in because I want to liven up this conversation. So hit the link, bro. I know you had discipline, so we're gonna let you come in. So let me let it play out. But you see the
Yeah.
image of this particular sister here, right?
right.
Now we're not necessarily promoting any particular philosophy to say that she was a typical Canaanite or whatever. I don't think that that's what you're saying, right?
No, what I'm saying is because Canaanite Carthage got burned down by the Romans and they become the only storytellers of Canaanite Carthage through mythology and uh certain documents, we have to do our due diligence as scholars of Africana studies to correctly reconstruct the history and identity of Canaanite Carthage.
Okay, so I see my brother GDN Capone is in the building. Brother,
Now, let me
welcome.
say this. Let me say
Yes,
this.
sir.
With this identity that I'm marking as Queen
Dido and associating it with a contemporary tribute figurine of uh, a divination in Canaanite Carthage,
Okay.
we can be accurate in our assignment of the identity of Dido.
Okay. So are you saying this would be what a typical Canaanite would look like?
Yes. And you
All
can
right.
match that with the coin of Tresemino, which I get into because
Okay.
American academics tries to hide the identity of Hannibal Barca, but um, the coins tell the truth on that one.
Okay. So the brother is not saying necessarily that she's a Hebrew Israelite, but he's definitely asserting that these people would have been black. So GD and Capone, talk to me and let me know what you think about the presentation so far. Talk to us, brother. Welcome, and
Well,
you're welcome anytime. Talk to us. We want to hear
shalom,
what you have to say.
peace to
Shalom, my brother.
brothers and sisters on the channel. Um, well, I just came in, so I don't know the context, but as far as the
He's talking
Canaanite
about
go,
what he's talking about is Canaanite Carthage, and this princess on the screen being the founder of Canaanite Carthage, and this is would be a contemporary image of what she looked like. So he's not asserting any Hebrew Israelite lineage. He's simply asserting that they were most definitely indigenous North Africans, and he's saying this would be typically what they would physically look like. So
to say that's what they would physically look like, that's kind of it's that's ambiguous because they wouldn't. That's how she looked. That's how she looks. I agree, but as far as when she is found in Canaan or Canaanite Carthage, what time period is this?
Tahuti, let Tahuti answer
So
that
this
question.
is around the 8th century BCE. Um,
8th century
so
BC.
what? So Jose, being that he's got questions, let the presentation play out so he can get the information because right now he's saying I don't
Oh
know.
wow.
So
All right, so we're gonna mute out and we're gonna let it play for a couple more minutes. Then we'll come back in with any further questions.
Are looking at now. And again, because of the timeline, and the method in which figurines are created and made to pay homage for certain feats, we can identify Queen Dido correctly. I also want to highlight the Kemetic influence of Canaanite Carthage. Once again, since the Canaanite Carthaginians and the Canaanites, from the biblical perspective, are the people of Ham, then we know that Canaanite Carthage was black. And we begin to understand why Canaanite Carthage was also Kemetic. So Bes is well known to be present in Carthage. Through archaeology, there was 1,000+ Bes amulets and relics discovered at sites in Carthage. And these match the 26th dynasty reverence of Bes. I want to also point out the divination system of Canaanite Carthage. I will leave this here and then I will go over it momentarily. So as you can see, Astarte begins in the 7th century BCE, at the same time that it is founded, or Carthage is founded by Dido. You can see that Tanit is parallel to the Ankh. We see Bes, and we see Baal Hamon. Baal Hamon is parallel to Asar and Rashif. And this divination was also present in Canaan, hence Canaanite Carthage. Obviously, this is not the whole entire divination system of Canaanite Carthage, but you get the idea of the Kemetic influence. I also want to highlight Baal Hamon. He was the primary divination of Canaanite Carthage. I want to also point out that Baal Hamon, after the fall of Carthage, did GD and Capone leave? Begins to be Romanized, and from a Romanization of Baal Hamon, you have Serapis.
I think he fell off. I don't know what happened.
So this is the prototype for Serapis. But other than that, you can see Baal Hamon's Kemetic influence. See his Kemetic-like crown.
Here on the screen. My question would be, because Ma'at was around, can you honestly say there was no slavery of any sort? So you could answer our sister Step Into the Light / Light Brown on that particular topic.
Yeah, if she's asking if Ma'at is an indication of the absence of slavery in Kemet, she's absolutely right.
No,
if you want to go back to my, if you want to say
my
again,
question would be, just because Ma'at was around, can you honestly say there was no slavery of any sort? So that's what she's that's the exact question. So basically,
yeah,
she's
pretty
saying, does
much.
Ma'at prevent enslavement?
Pretty much, because I want to also, I forgot one more source, primary source, that tells us that even captives were allowed to go through their trial, their rehabilitation stage, and then own property and even marry. So I want to point that out as well. Thanks for reminding me. In fact, Jose, can you hold on, Jose? Listen, Jose, just listen to me. Can you share your screen? Can you end this and share your screen and bring up the infographics that I sent you?
I could, yes.
And I want to also point out that the thumbnail for this video is a educational thumbnail to where I included primary sources in the image.
Okay. Give me 1 second. Let me find them and I'll bring them up. gosh. I think I made a mistake. I didn't um I didn't download it properly. So I had to go back and I'll send them over again. So in
Damn,
the
man.
meantime,
Yo, Jose, I
let's let
told
the
you to
video
lock
play while I
in,
organize
bro.
it. I downloaded them in. I downloaded them. I didn't send them properly, I should say. So
All
let me
right,
let
so
the
what
video
I'll do
play.
is
Give me
I'll
two
post them
minutes.
on my channel, right? So y'all can go to
Cool.
my channel. They're so what they are parody infographics that I
I can
made.
bring them up,
You can go to my
you know.
what?
Let me see if I see them.
Well, I'm talking about later. I think I put one up. The application, the job application. The thumbnail, the very thumbnail was a job application, and I made that as a parody to the fact that um
Oh
it
man.
on record pyramid builders were compensated with bread, loaves of bread, uh kilt linens, um one other thing, a burial by an elite, and also
Hmm.
bracelets. So if you study African civilization, African culture, the first form of money was bracelets, snail shell bracelets. So those are among the things that prove that there was compensated labor in Kemet, and where in other civilizations they didn't have compensated labor. You know, so
Okay. All right. I sent them just now. So let me let the video play for 2 more minutes while I get my stuff together.
yeah, definitely. That's typically weens of Kemet. I want to also point out my goal the first. My goal the first. My goal the first is known as the re-founder of Canaanite Carthage. He is a military general. He is responsible for militarizing Carthage. I want to obviously address he is brief American academia. I want to also point out that anytime there is any lesson about Carthage, Mago the First is always left out. And the reason for that is because he was a dominant general and he used his military might and his military prowess to dominate southern part of Europe. American academia, while it hides the identity of many Carthaginians, they do admit certain things, certain truths.
I have the infographics, so I'm gonna stop sharing that and share the infographics. So here's one
Got
here.
you.
Is it up?
So you're gonna, yeah. So that's the
All right.
one that I created about the captive after his rehabilitation, and it illustrates from historical sources what a former prisoner or captive would look like after he rehabilitated himself after being captive in Kemet. and now he's married and he owns his own trade commerce in Kemet. So
Okay. So you want me to bring up the other one?
yeah, you can just go through
There's
them.
another. There's another one here. Right. Jeez, come on. Right. Welcome to Brother Gideon. Give us a minute. After I show this, then I'll let you say what you want to say. So give us a minute.
Shalom. Shalom.
Right. Give us a minute. Right.
No doubt.
So
Y'all
that is
good.
another one there, right? Right.
Right. So this one
So talk
is
about.
telling the story of a pyramid builder coming home from work. Or no, actually, this is a indentured servant. So what I want to point out is when we do an analysis on whether slavery was present or not in Kemet, we also find that Europeans tried to inject indentured servant into the narrative. But when we analyze all the details, we find out that these quote unquote indentured servers are nothing more than housemaids that may work at the Grand Luxor Hotel and Casino. You see what I'm saying?
I got you.
Um, like I said, I want to point out that I made it more readable. Some of the sources that you can, some of the references that you can go to look up this information, but I wanted to visualize it for us because a lot of people, we bore people with, literary text all the time. So I just want to make it visual so people can have something more to look at.
Okay. So, Brother Gideon, talk to us about what you're seeing and what you want to comment on.
Yeah. Shalom to y'all brothers.
Peace, my
All
brother.
praises. All praises to the Most High in the name of Yahshua. God save the African King. I'm just asking. So your overall presentation is that you're saying that there was no slavery in Egypt.
In Kemet. So right now in Egypt, there's definitely slavery going on, but I'm talking about Kemet, not Egypt.
Yeah. Forgive me. In Kemet, are you saying there was no slavery in Kemet? And I guess you're going to say you are saying that. And I heard you because I kind of just came in on the end of it. You was mentioning something about somebody was rehabilitated. So are you saying every person that wasn't a slave? So basically, what are you saying? Like real, like just to sum it up.
All right, so and I'm gonna answer your question. I just want Jose to bring up the list of sources that you know what I'm saying.
Okay.
But I
Right.
guess you didn't watch the whole presentation, which is fine. But yes, what I'm basically saying is based on all the evidence, all the gathered evidence when it comes to the labor force of Kemet, when it comes to what governors and royal elites and master pyramid builders, which would be the supervisors of construction progress projects, based on everything that they were saying, and in conjunction with what even Egyptologist and Zahi Hawass says about the principle of Ma'at, there was an absence of slavery in Kemet, meaning there was no slavery in Kemet. So that's what I'm saying.
Okay. So my brother, not only would I have to disagree with you, but the scholarly consensus overwhelmingly disagree with you. You had slaves in Egypt from war captives. You had state labor, uh, debt slavery, like household slaves. Are you familiar? We have the Brooklyn Papyrus. Are you familiar with that?
Right. So, okay. So, Jose, what are you doing? I want you to bring up, go back to the
That's not it.
infographics. That's the
That's not
book.
it. That's the wrong thing.
Go back to the infographics and go into the live chat and put up the comment that I said that lists the primary sources.
Right, but I'm asking you,
So
are you familiar
so
with the
now we're
book
going
of
to
the
address, you
Bible?
brought up those primary sources, and part of my presentation was a compilation of what the consensus actually says on the matter. So when we
Right,
do our
Oh,
analysis, we actually find out that the consensus actually says, one, they're uncertain about slavery, the degree and presence of slavery in Kemet, based on the fact that they only rest on captives. Another thing is, I just brought up with the visual infograph, was to express that these captives go through a rehabilitation process, right? That allows them to own property and marry. So at the bottom of the screen is a list of all the sources that were gathered that the consensus actually agrees on, that's present, to say that there was no slavery in Kemet. Now, the problem is that when you generally do your surface level analysis on it, you do come up with sources that say, yes, there was slavery in Kemet, but they only stop at captivity and prisoners of war. And we just surmised that, well, if you're going to say that there was no slavery in Kemet, or that there was slavery in Kemet, and you're going to stop at captives, but you're going to admit that all these listed sources are present to say that they didn't, how can you say that there was slavery in Kemet?
right. So, like I said, you had different types. You had war captives, like you say. So that's slavery. So you cannot even say there was no slavery in Egypt because the war captives were slaves. You have um you have documents, legal documents showing the distribution of slaves, the ownership of slaves. Uh, you had, like I said, debt slavery. People owed debts, they was put into slavery. So there definitely was slavery, and there definitely is overwhelming evidence. That's why I was confronting you with a piece
can I
of
ask you a
source
question,
material.
Gideon?
I'm sorry,
Let me ask you a question. Let me ask you a question, Gideon.
you breaking
What
up.
what would the word in Medunetia be for slave or slavery?
I wouldn't know the Egyptian word for that.
Right. And the
Right.
word that they sometimes translate would be hem. They say some people say it means slave or servant, but there's an actual dissension among scholars because the word is used for man and woman, husband and wife,
Right.
hem and hemeth, and it's also used for the nesut, hemeth. So it
Mm-hmm.
means, so hem also means majesty, and then you have hemnecher, which would
Mm-hmm.
be a
Okay.
of servant of the nature. I've also seen it translated in one of the dictionaries. I can't remember the name right now. As actually prophet. So we understand that when we use that term, it deals with being bound to a particular sort of spiritual idea. The Hamnecha is bound and must has no choice in his service, and they use it for the Nasut because he would be considered the ultimate. One of the reasons I think was because he would be considered the highest of high priests and the ultimate moral authority within the kingdom. Hence why he carries the Ankh for his spiritual understanding. Then he carries the Heka, which is his rulership, and the flail, which deals with them
Right.
people being subservient to him. So
Right.
the term itself cannot be simply translated as slave, because then that means you're calling the most powerful man in the area a slave, and that can't fly historically
Right.
at all. That can't fly
Right.
culturally either. So
Right.
there's a nuance to the term that doesn't specifically say, "Yeah, I'm a slave," and no, it doesn't mean that specifically. That is why there is a
Right.
controversy as to what it means. And then they also use the word bak, which means a servant. And in some cases, you will see these people, they may translate that as slave too, but they're really servants. And sometimes you might see them being inherited. If I'm not mistaken, Tahuti, correct me, as far as, from ruler to ruler and different things of that nature, but that doesn't make them
ruler
slaves
to ruler
necessarily.
to ruler, household to household.
But
So
that doesn't necessarily mean that they're
I
slaves,
can
though.
yeah,
That's
yeah,
not slavery.
and I can appreciate you giving me the different words for slave. Him, her, all that. So they were those words that you're talking about. People that had no rights. They couldn't say I don't want to be a slave today.
It doesn't
They
say
didn't
that.
have that right. Yeah, they couldn't. They were property. They
No,
were
no, no,
they
no,
were
no. Gideon,
listen, no, this is
Gideon,
what I'm
it does
saying.
not.
This is what I'm saying.
It doesn't
They
say.
were, this is what I'm saying. This is what I'm saying, Jose. They were distributed amongst different households and different properties and different temples in Kemet when they were captured. They could not free themselves. So that in the very definition is slavery. And like I say, you also had instances where citizens had to devote themselves to labor, something that they had to do. That's not
But
slavery,
they were,
but
but
you
Gideon, they
know,
were paid. They were compensated. Brother,
But
brother
you
Tahuti
brought it
just
up.
explained
So
they
hey,
were
Jose,
compensated.
let me address this real quick. Let me address the elephant in the room. So this is what I'm saying about it. So I don't know if you plan on paying attention to anything that was in
my brother,
the
like when I'm talking,
presentation.
like
Let me
we was
finish.
at a
Let me
point.
finish. Let me
I
finish.
just
I
need to
let you
get you
land
on
your
the. I
plane.
asked, no, but you
Let me
didn't
just
answer
finish.
my question. You didn't answer my
I'm
initial
about to
question,
answer your
and that's
question,
how
brother,
we
because the
feel.
question was
I
already
asked
answered.
you, are you familiar with the Brooklyn Papyrus?
Right, I am. And that
Okay,
was in the
so
Gideon,
so
but
presentation.
Gideon, let him respond.
That,
He's explaining to
okay,
you
okay.
that
I'm
he
gonna respond.
addressed
I
these
was
things
still
already and where
right.
it was in the presentation. That's what he's trying to explain to you. I am just adding on that when you look at it, even in his presentation, he said the mandatory workers were compensated with bare food as well as bracelets. So that they did get compensated with something for their labor. They weren't just beat up and abused. They had legal right to some sort of compensation. And that is what he's saying was in his presentation, which I assume you didn't see. So he's explaining to you. So go ahead, Tahuti, explain to him what was in the presentation and what you were saying.
right. And not only that, I went over the captives. So again, if we are not going to classify suspected criminals and persons of interest who are detained by the police and held until their hearing as slaves, then we cannot do the same thing for this occurrence in Kemet. And again, even if they do get convicted of the crime, right, you cannot say that these criminals who are doing some type of labor or rehabilitation, what do they call it, community service, are now slaves, because we don't do that for convicted criminals in the United States, albeit that the United States has a sophisticated uh, uh, way of enslavement through the prison system. But we know that if a criminal actually is guilty of a crime, then he deserves to be in prison. You see what I'm saying? So we cannot say that slavery existed in Kemet mostly because of captives. Because you also mentioned that there's a significant amount of evidence that there was slavery in Kemet, even after I just addressed that when we go to the consensus on the matter, that they stop at captivities no matter what they say about Kemet. No matter if they give a yes or a no, they always stop at captives. And I addressed that in the
Now,
presentation.
now, Tahuti, my computer is playing up and it's very, very low. I have to stop, unfortunately, and let it charge back up. I don't know what is the problem with it. So what I'm going to do, I'm going to let you close out, and if you wish, you can certainly come back and do a more detailed presentation as far as what a captive was, the words for captive, and possibly explain, was there an actual prison system in terms of putting people in jail, things of that nature, because I don't think that there was a penal system like we know today. As far as, yeah, you're going to jail or we're going to put you in jail for life. I don't think that was the situation. But I could very well be wrong. So I'm going to let you speak a little bit on that. Then I'm going to let Gideon close out. And I'm going to have to shut the stream down to let my computer recharge from our next live stream. So there is another live stream at 8 o'clock Central Standard Time. I'm doing a takeover, so you guys can come back for that. Brother Tahuti, thank you very much. The link to the brothers' pages in the chat, the link to my pages in the chat. Like, share, subscribe to those pages, as well as Paradigm Shift 314 and Worldview War. So, Brother Tahuti, do your closeout. Let Brother Gideon do his closeout. We're going to get out of here. You guys can come back in about an hour to see what's going on with Takeover Tuesday, because we're going to have some special announcements that you guys are going to like. So, go ahead, Tahuti. Do your closeout. You can take as much time as you want.
Yeah, actually, Gideon, do your closeout real quick.
Yeah, appreciate y'all letting me on. But like I say, man, I suggest you look into the matter a little bit more, my brother. You have documents that refer to people being purchased for silver. Like I say, I kept asking you about the Brooklyn Papyrus. Not only does it list, war captives, it lists household servants, foreigners. It doesn't say anything about them being war captives. So, like I said, but it's evidence stating that, slaves were bought and sold, not only war captives. So, like I said, I appreciate you coming on. Now, if you'd have had the title, The Bible Didn't Have Slavery, then I would agree with you on that. But other than that, man, good show, Jose. All praises to the Most High, in the name of Yahshua, and bless y'all, brothers and sisters listening.
So here's what we're going to do for you, Gideon. I'm going to let you put together a proper presentation, and you can come on and do a refutation of what he's saying if you want to do that. Just
there you go. That sounds good.
Side can be heard, and it's going to be good content. So we're going to let you come on, put together whatever sources you have, bring it up here. We're going to call the presentation. I'm going to call the show Brother Tahuti Afar, You Tripping. There was certainly slavery in ancient Kemet. So what do you think about that title, Gideon?
Yeah, I'm fine with that.
I'm going to put that title, Brother Tahuti Afar, You Tripping. There was certainly slavery in ancient Kemet. So I'm going to let you come on under that title, drop your knowledge, and we're going to see who's actually going to win this discussion. Maybe, if things go right, you guys can get in the ring and actually debate the topic. I don't know if Tahuti wants to debate, but if he doesn't want to debate, we can have a discussion about it. Because I definitely want you guys to come together and hash this thing out, because that would make good content. So get your presentation together when you're ready. I believe you have DMG's contact. Hit up DMG. He can put it on. Either me or him will come on and moderate. We're going to let you say your piece, and we're going to see if Tahuti or anyone else has a response to what you're saying. So get that together, right? I see Elder Yara's in the building. I'm going to let Elder Yara come in here quick. Elder Yara, we're closing out, but out of respect for you, I'm letting you come in to say your piece very quickly. I don't know I don't know if you've been listening to the entire show or you just heard the slavery.
Peace to you, brother. Shalom to you and everybody else on the channel. Hey, I've been listening to the entire show. I was hoping to jump on earlier, but I just wanted to say shout out to you, Jose Francis, because you and I have had some of these conversations. And I appreciate your honesty about the information. So I respect that. And this is all that I think anybody in this community should ask of each other, right? Is that when we see the information and we vetted the information, that we can be honest about the information. That goes for Israelites, Christians, atheists, follows a Kemetic history and science, Pan Africans, whatever paradigm you come from, if we can just be honest about the information once it's vetted. I appreciate about Brother Jose Francis. I know, he
Thank
go
you so
back
much.
and forth with the Hebrews and that, but I appreciate that. And anybody that can honestly do that
Thank you so much.
deserves respect for that in my book throughout the community. Very few people would do that, so I appreciate you for that.
I know you definitely disagree. I think we've had a conversation.
Yeah,
So what you can do if you want, you and Gideon can actually come
no,
back on and
I mean,
definitely
Gideon
do a
can
You
10
how
definitely
much
handle
more?
this. No, Gideon can definitely handle this. He don't need me to ride shotgun. I definitely support my brother one
I know that.
thousand
I know.
percent. But
I know that's a brother.
but but at the end of the day, like, I know he understands this information just as well as I do, or most people, like as I said before, who can be honest about the information, right, and what they see.
Absolutely.
So, I'm anybody taking that debate with Brother Gideon, he definitely got the dub. He got the dub already. I mean, that's not even an
He,
argument,
he's,
but
a, he's, a, he's a good brother, but I think we might have to. I think we might have to, box him up a little bit in the ring when he comes back on. I
yeah, I
think
don't
the
think
Houthi
y'all. I don't
will
think
box
y'all
him up a little
can. I don't think
bit.
Tahuti can. I don't think
But
Tahuti
I'm gonna be the
stands a
host.
chance. He don't.
I'm gonna be
He
the
doesn't
host.
stand a
I wasn't doing
chance.
much spot. I,
He
I
doesn't. He
figured.
doesn't stand a chance. Yeah, he doesn't stand. He doesn't stand a chance against Gideon on this topic at all whatsoever.
I do.
It,
I
it's just
do
it's
appreciate you though.
purely academic.
I do appreciate you. So anytime you want to come on, you could always come on. I don't know if you need me to bring you on or you can do it on your own, but I think you're admin, right?
Uh, no, I'm not. I haven't. No, I don't. I don't really have that a lot of time like that on my hands as much as I used to. So I
Right.
don't
But
even.
listen to me.
I don't even do that.
Anytime,
But
anytime you want to come on, hit your brother up. We could bring you on to do any
yeah,
presentation that you like. You're more than welcome. But
yeah.
I
Because I
kind of
was
put a
gonna.
little challenge out there. You know, I put a challenge out there to your whole squad. I know you did. I noticed you didn't mention it. Maybe you didn't hear that I did that.
Oh,
So
about this particular topic.
just in general, because there was a presentation done by, I think it was the better the KOT
Mm-hmm.
about kemet, and he was calling Nama a colonizer and a rapist, and I definitely disagree with that. So I would
Well, we
like
know
him to
that.
come on.
We know that to be factual, though.
But I want him to come on and I want to review the video. Because
Yeah,
I
you should.
definitely agree with the foreigner and the rapist. I definitely don't see that.
Yeah,
And I
he
know he's a
definitely was. I
powerful
mean,
brother, and it's gonna make for good content. So I want him to come on, let him hash out what he has to say, and we can do a
so
little back and
do
forth.
you real quick, and because I know you ended, do you believe Narmer was indigenous to Africa,
It says he came
to
from the
Kemet?
southern part of Kemet. Yes, he came from the southern part of Kemet, and he came with four. He came with four Sapats. So he was by all rights a Kemetic ruler in some right before he came.
Hmm. Hmm.
And when he
So
came,
who? So
all
who?
scholars
So
say that he
who's?
unified.
Yeah. So
He was a
whose
unifier.
reign? Whose reign would he have taken over, or whose reign would he have stepped in, or whose reign did he feel? Because he didn't. We don't have any record of him challenging or being a descendant from any other Kemetic
No, what
king.
he what happened was they think his father Scorpion was actually a ruler, but they were fragmented. So he basically
Hmm.
brought all of them under one rule. So whichever kings came up against him, he defeated them and started what we are calling dynastic Kemet. But I don't really like that term because in some cases, when they're talking about dynasty, some of them, they're not necessarily different bloodlines. Some of them are actually blood related. So they're using that term to define each particular reign. But when you look at it, it's actually the queen who is actually determines the bloodline from what they call in dynasty to dynasty, not the father. Once the bloodline of the original Hermetness Weret, means the king's great wife, dies out, the next one family line is supposed to rule. But then they have a whole other thing about thrones being usurped, and all of those other things too.
Yeah, but
But
that was
history
only.
doesn't see Nama as a usurper. He is one who came from the south and unified. This is why the Southerners are always defending Kemet or putting Kemet back in order. The term Nasut Bidi actually means, Nasut means one who belongs to the south, and Biti
Hmm.
means is related to the north. So they're
Hmm.
telling you that the Nasut belongs to the south, but he's related in some way to the north. So
Hmm.
that's kind of an ode to the southern origins, as far as Kush, which would have been modern Ethiopia, and then what they
Hmm.
call Nubia, which is an anachronistic term, which would be
Hmm.
Sudan, like Moro and all of those places. Kerma, that would be considered modern day Sudan. So
Yes.
it would have come
Hmm.
from all of those areas. But Kush is the indigenous word, and the Hesi is the indigenous word. But they classify them all by this corrupted term, Nubian, which is a Latin term, which I think they're trying to say, the land of gold or something of that sort. But it's not a term
Yeah.
that they would
So
use at the time, and
so
it's a broad
yeah.
term even today.
So why would the term, and I won't prolong the time because I'm going to close it out. So why would calling or designating Narmer as a colonizer be incorrect? We know at a certain particular point in time that the Hesi were referred to by the indigenous people of ancient Kemet as Hekakasu, or foreigners, or foreign
Right.
rulers. So
But,
wouldn't that designate him if he's conquering them?
well,
Wouldn't that
yeah,
designate him as a colonizer?
well, no. When we deal with them, those that they refer to as foreigners, those would have been the ones who were not necessarily under the care and control of the Nasut. But they had others who were under the care and control because they were so vastly spread out. They were in so many different territories. So this is
Mhm.
where we get the confusion as to, well, they were beating up black people. No, they were fighting with the Nehesi and against the Nehesi. But if you look into the TLA, the root term Nehesi does not have a foreign determinative on it. It's depending on where they come from. You will see the foreign
Well,
determinative or other determinative.
actually, when they refer to those Nehesi as Hekakasu, then we know that there has to be a determiner that tells us that these are a foreign people, or these are not people of their land. And so
Right. But
anyone conquering them, they would consider them a colonizer.
well, no, it's certain
That's-
groups of them. It's certain groups of them that we would most certainly say would be considered that, but it's a complicated relationship. And just with any country, if you're not under the care and control of the Nasu, you are a foreigner just based on a geopolitical determination. It doesn't necessarily mean that all Nehesi come from somewhere else. No, they're definitely basically indigenous people. There's no doubt that they are indigenous, but
Well,
some of
we're
them are
not.
under
Well, the
control
people
of
of
others.
Nubia. I'm sorry. Well, the people of Nubia, they had their own civilization. They had their own culture. They had their own kings. They had their own writings. Right, the Maradic writings, even later on, that has survived. So we know that these were a completely different civilization of people. Right. So when we
There was
see
a dual kingdom
Narmer
as well. You
coming,
know that, right? There
huh?
was a dual kingdom as well. There was a dual kingdom as well
Well,
between
that's after,
Kemet and Nubia.
that was after Narmer's conquering both lands. Then you see a dual, but previous to that, we know that these people existed separate, right? John Henry Clark tells us this, right? So these were separate groups of people. And so we know that when Narmer does come down into their land and conquers them, he is considered a what? A colonizer.
Well, there's your next presentation for paradigm shift 314.
I'll
Was
write a paper.
Nama
There you
I'll
go.
write
I
a paper.
like that one. I like that.
was Nama brother Elder
That's
Yara,
KLT's. That's KLT's. That's
okay,
KLT's work. So invite
okay,
KLT on.
the mighty KOT responds to Brother Jose. Yes, Nama was a colonizer.
Oh, so you
Right?
agree?
So we're gonna say no. I'm just saying that's gonna be the title. I don't agree with him, but I'm saying the title could be the mighty KOT response to Brother Jose. Yes, Narmer was a colonizer,
I mean,
and
if
we
you
can
talk to him and
talk about
if he chooses to do that, then that's fine. But like I said, I agree with him. I definitely agree with my brother,
it. You
with my
should.
brother Gideon on
You
that.
should.
And not simply just because he's my brother, because he's right. He's
All
right.
right. I'm when
He's
he comes
right.
on and does his presentation,
He's
we're gonna
right.
determine.
And you better be.
We're gonna see his evidence, and we're gonna determine if he's right or if there really is a
Yeah,
nuance.
he's right. And I'm gonna tell
He
you
might
why
not
this
be
is
cracking.
important, right? Let me tell you why this is important. I'm gonna jump off, right? Because I heard I heard one of you guys, and I'm not going to call his name, but I heard one of your fine feathered friends make this statement, and they say it's
Wow.
important that they refer to themselves today as carrying on the traditions of the ancestors and of the people of ancient Kemet, so that 1,000 years from now, people will look back at them, your fine feathered friends, and say, "Oh, these is what the people of ancient Kemet believed." That's crazy and
I don't know who
diabolical.
said that. I don't know
Yo,
who
I
said
know
that.
who said it, and I got the clip. It's crazy that they even think that way. That's just like me accepting taking myself and saying, you know what? 1,000 years from now, people's gonna look back and say, this is what the ancient Israelites actually believed and what they actually taught and what they actually practiced. This is what this your fine feathered friend is actually promoting. Like,
I don't
so
know who
this is
said
why
that.
now even more important. This is why it's now even more important to have these conversations, because you got a lot of people, man, who are diabolically disingenuous, bro. Like,
Hmm.
I would never position myself to say, even 1,000 years from now, that I was a part of the
Bro,
ancient Israelites. But you got this moron that's actually saying this,
I'll
right?
tell you this. I'll tell you this. I don't want to comment on that comment, but I'll tell you this. I am seeing people with this debate between Jabari and Reggie simply joining sides with against Jabari simply because they don't like him. They have no scholarship to say that he's wrong. They just don't like him. So they're forming up like Voltron, and it's a disingenuous thing just to jump on a side with someone simply because you don't like the opponent. That's not cool. And I'm not saying
Yeah,
Reggie
I
doesn't
agree
have
with that. I
scholarship,
agree with that.
but you
It
can't.
shouldn't be personality worship.
You know, you have to look at sometimes, even though people agree with you. I'm sure it concerns you when certain people agree with you, and you find certain people on your side. You say, "Well, wait a minute. He didn't like me 2 months ago, but because I'm against his enemy, now I'm his friend." That's not. That should be troubling to you and everyone else
Yeah, yeah,
because
I
that's
agree with you, man.
that's
I think the
super
personality
disingenuous.
worship. I think the personality worship is crazy, but that happens all the time in this community. So I don't know
That's
why
crazy.
that is.
It's
I don't know
crazy.
why that's so
That's
shocking
crazy.
to you, but it happens
That's
all the time. I
that's super
mean,
crazy. That's super crazy.
even when it's not Reggie and Jabari, it still happens. It
That's super
happens all
crazy.
the time, no matter what you
Man,
say. So I'm gonna jump off here, man. I'm gonna let you go, man. I
yeah,
appreciate your show,
man. So
man. I was listening in a good show. Let me say this to you, King Hercules. I got time for you, brother.
we gonna set that
You
up.
are,
We gonna set that up. We gonna set that up. We gonna
yeah,
set that up.
yeah,
We gonna set that up. We gonna see
and
what's going on with that. I know you got time for that. So we
yeah,
gonna set that up.
I got time for you, King Hercules.
All right. So thank you, brother Tahuti. To close out.
I promise you I do, because you made a statement, King Hercules, real quick. You
Wow.
were saying
Oh,
that yeah, that certain things were strictly European. They have no African connection, or they don't want seen in African, something like that. But yeah, I got work for you, King Hercules. I can put you on the treadmill for a few hours. Set it up.
boy, boy. Tahuti done talk his battery into death. So We're gonna set that up for sure. I'm gonna moderate that conversation. We're gonna see what the topic is gonna be because I want to see that one. And I know both of you guys do debate, so we could certainly get you guys in the ring and let you guys box and see how that works out. So thanks again. Let me get out of here. Sorry about that, Tahuti. My battery's almost dead too. So let's end this and come back in an hour with Takeover Tuesday.
I told you I wasn't stepping to. I ain't disrespecting you, son. You wanted to be one way. What? You wanted to be one way. What is the other way?
Yeah. Funny how everybody love debate till the judges say they lost. Funny how everybody claim they want smoke till the scorecards come across.
My name is my name.
Everybody gangster when the verdict go their way. Taking victory laps, posting on social media all day. But let them catch an L, now the judges all corrupt. Now the rules wasn't fair, now the platform messed up. When you won, it was justice. When you lost, it was rigged. When the spotlight was on you, man, you danced a little jig.
Funny how the narrative changes overnight. You a scholar on Monday, by Tuesday ready to fight.
Y'all don't want accountability, you want applause. Want championship treatment without championship flaws. See, debate ain't about feelings, it's about evidence, argument, and skill. Sometimes you climb the mountain,
sometimes you fall down the hill. You want it to be one way,
but it's the other way.
But it's the other way.
When you win, it's all love.
When you lose, it's another day. You want it to be one way,
but it's the other way.
The same judges you praised last month ain't fair today. You want it to be one way,
but it's the other way.
The facts don't bend for feelings, no matter what you say. My name,
yeah.
My name.
The hate got me laughing. It really tell the story. If the platform wasn't working, why they obsessed with my glory? Every week somebody got an opinion to proclaim, but they still tuning faithfully. That's free promotion of the name. Paradigm shift, TV 314 still standing, while critics in the comments keep demanding and demanding. See the infamous perspective, giving viewpoints room to breathe. The black church files digging deeper than was seen. The kemet takeover, bringing culture to the floor. The GT perspective, asking questions they ignore. Here you get many choices. Ladies' night, giving divas voices. Different minds, different paths, different truth. Reaching the elders and the youth. But it's the other way.
You said the platform needed you, but somehow you still stayed.
Yeah.
You wanted to be one way,
but it's the other way.
The show keeps moving forward even after people stray. You wanted to be one way,
but it's the other way.
The audience decides, not the stories that you made. My name is my name.
I've seen debaters come and go. Some legends, some pretenders. Some became champions, some became contenders. Some accepted losses and came back even stronger. Others spent 6 months complaining and being bitter even longer. Everybody wanna run a platform. Everybody got advice, but very few know the sacrifice, are willing to pay the price. Fight facts, challenge views, give the people real discussion, not excuses when you lose. So whether they applaud or whether they complain, one thing remains forever.
My name is my name. You
but it's the other way.